First thing we have to talk about is the Russia war, and we're about 9 months in now. Give me first your take on how you think this is going on the ground for the Europeans, for the Russians. Quick view.
Well, how much time you have? First, on the war itself, it's going very badly for the Russians. They don't advance anymore. Actually, they have to withdraw from some parts. The Ukrainian military is much more motivated, better trained, better led, and the Russians have problems. What the Russians have turned now is to see if they can undercut, the readiness of the population to support this war. They're destroying infrastructure. This is, by the way, war crimes. They are destroying infrastructure. They're destroying, electricity and everything. But they totally miscalculate the Ukrainians. They miscalculated at the very beginning. Their resolve to fight back, to defend their country is unbroken. They will continue to do that. Even the ethnic Russians that the Russians pretend to protect from the Ukrainians, they're the toughest ones because they see what Russia does to the area where they live lived. Yes, Mariupol or Kherson, or this is destroyed by the Russians. So this is going to go on, number one. Number two, the support for Ukraine continues to be very positive. I want to say the American leadership has been key, providing weapons to Ukraine. But it took some time for us Germans to do that. But the Ukrainians appreciate also the quality of our weapons, of some others. So we support that. Again, I believe this will go on for some time. Putin is not ready to give in. Zelensky will continue to fight. So Putin tries also to undermine the resolve of the supporters of Zelensky. This is why he, comes up with threats of the use of nuclear weapons. Everybody's scared, and this is why he's very active in the global south to spread his narrative. It's the West that is responsible for the high energy price or the high price of grain. So he's using that. I think that Putin is determined to see this through. I don't see right now that he's ready to give in. So he will continue. As I said before, he thinks that the West is weak and that also Ukraine at some stage cannot withstand the aggression by Russia. He's wrong, I think, but the problem is the human suffering continues.
Where is the West weaker? Is it among the Europeans with the economic hardships this winter, next year, difficulties on energy, some governments that seem like they might waver, the Italians, for example, even the Germans, perhaps, or the United States, where you start to see, both on the progressive left and the MAGA right, some shakiness about why you'd want to spend all this money on a war that's very far away?
Putin watches this very carefully.
Sure.
Of course, he hopes for this. He hopes that after the midterms, or in the U.S., or after elections in other countries, this resolve to support Ukraine will weaken. So far, it's not happening. We have seen in Italy, where you have a kind of populist government, that the new prime minister stands firm on it. In Germany, we have polls, while they say, yes, we are suffering and higher energy prices, but the resolve is still there to support Ukraine. But there's no guarantee. We will have a very tough winter in Europe with the high energy prices. There may be some, the support may be lessening. We do have parts in Europe where the pro-Russian propaganda actually is setting in and is selling. But overall, I think we stand firm.